So this should be about done. Yep, 2 more prospects. So you've taken apart all of your gems. You've got a bunch of them. What can you do with them? So the first thing that you can do with them is you can cut them. Uncommon gems cut generally are not that profitable on my server. Some of them will be, because people will be wanting to gem, their intermediate, like their 333s or their 318s that they've picked up from dungeons that have a socket in them, and they don't want to spend 100 gold on an Inferno Ruby that, they're just going to be replacing that 100 gold worth, investment in their item the next time that they get a drop. So there is a market for cut uncommon gems. They're generally not as profitable as doing other things with them. Now keep in mind that this is on my server. Your server may end up being better for those prices, so you should check yourself before you decide exactly what you want to do with them. Every gem, every uncommon gem has the possibility of being perfect, which has a slight increase in stats. Usually it's about 5 points on average if it is a solid colored gem, except for stamina, which I think is 7 or 8. If it is a hybrid gem, then it's going to give 2 of one and 3 of the other, unless it's stamina, and then it gives a couple more points. Why Blizzard had to do stamina different, I don't know. It's a little wonky. The 3 that will not give you perfect cuts of are the solid zephyrite, the timeless nightstone, and the jagged jasper. And the reason for this is because of the Jewelcrafting dailies. Originally, the expansion, they did provide perfect cuts. The thing was, if you were trying to cut the gems for the Jewelcrafting daily and you got a perfect, it wouldn't count. And it was irritating people because there were so many of these perfect cut gems because people were doing the dailies that there was no market for them. People were just having to vendor them, and so everybody cried to Blizzard, and they're like, fine, there are now no perfect solid zephyrite, no perfect jagged jaspers, and no perfect timeless nightstones. So, as I mentioned, the Jewelcrafting daily. There are 3. They require 3 rare gems, or uncommon gems. This one in particular requires 3 nightstone, another requires 3 jasper, and another requires 3 zephyrite. So this can be a profit option. On the day that there is a gem required Jewelcrafting daily, those uncut uncommon gems tend to sell a lot better because you have lazy jewel crafters out there that don't want to take apart some stacks of ore. What are they going to do with all those gems that aren't required for today, etc.? So they just want 3 uncut gems. They'll go to the auction house, they'll buy them, they'll cut them, they'll turn them in, they'll get their token, they're done. So selling the uncut gems in stacks of 1 or in stacks of 3 can be very good options. I would warn against selling the actual cut gem itself. As you'll notice here on the right hand side, it says that I need 3 timeless nightstones cut as well as 3 timeless nightstones. You only get credit for the quests if you cut them yourself. So you can't buy them off the auction house. However, there are people who are new or aren't paying attention and will buy the cut ones and then try to turn it in and realize it doesn't work. So if you like to profit off of, stupidity or people not paying attention, then this is, a potential profit opportunity. Good luck, that's all I have to say. On these days, every JC and their brother is listing up there, so you're probably going to get undercut a lot. So, try to stick to mainstream times. Generally, 6P server tends to be when sales pick up on most folks' servers. Take into account, of course, that if you have a large Australian population, then the time is going to be different for their prime time because of the time differences. And somebody, it would seem, is cutting for timeless nightstones, so somebody's turning in today's quest. So that's something that you can do with those 3 gems. Another thing that you can do with 5 of the gems is cut jewelry. There are 4 types of actual jewelry and 1 weapon that can be used. The jewelry is the nightstone choker, which uses nightstones. You have the hessonite band, which uses hessonite. You have the Alicite pendant, which uses Alicite, and the Jasper ring, which uses, guess what? Jasper. Each of these items also requires a jeweler's setting. The jeweler's settings can be purchased in Stormwind from Terrence Denman, who is over next to the Jewelcrafting trainer, as well as the design vendor and quest giver. The price that I have is because we are a max rank guild and have the bonus of 5% off of all vendor items, and I'm also exalted. If you don't have either of those, your price is going to be higher. Keep in mind that this 1 gold, 5 silver, or whatever it is for you, is an overhead cost that you can't avoid. You're going to have this cost no matter what if you create the jewelry. So make sure to take that into account when you're determining how profitable these will be. So generally, I'm going to fly over here where it's a little more quiet. Generally, somebody else took my spot. Generally, when you create these, you're going to get a green quality item with a random enchantment. Is this guy sitting on my head? What a jerk. God. These random enchantments are can be some of the old enchantments, such as of the eagle or of the bear, or they can be the new enchantments of the undertow of the zephyr. Each one's going to have stamina on it and is going to have a main stat, either agility, strength, or intellect, and then either 1 or 2 of the secondary stats, haste and mastery, or crit and spirit, etc. And what items or what ending they get is determined by the stats, or vice versa, depending on how you want to look at it. Also, when you create these, you have a small chance, I believe it's somewhere between 10 and 20%. I'm not certain which one exactly it is. Numbers have been ranging on the internet, but you have a small chance of getting a blue quality item. These items have generally a higher item level, slightly better stats, and usually a lower level requirement. Blue quality Alicite pendants and Jasper rings are extremely popular in the 78 to 80 twinking bracket, simply because they can equip them at level 79, 78, something like that. So they're extremely popular among the twinks. And the nightstone chokers and the hessonite bands are extremely popular among individuals that are trying to bump their eye level for dungeons. Specifically heroic dungeons. There are not very many great options for jewelry from quest rewards, so some of these crafted items are what will get people just high enough to hit that 329 item level in order to be able to queue for the heroics. So those are options, and they of course use their respective gems. Carnelians can be turned into Carnelian Spikes. These are a fist weapon. They do not have a blue quality to come with them. Somebody else is doing the daily. Excuse me. They require 3 Carnelians and 3 settings. These sell okay. However, there tend to be a lot of them simply because lots of jewel crafters will make these in order to power level their jewel crafting. The ideal thing to do with the spikes and with the jewelry is to pair it with enchanting and take them apart. This will give you dust for all the jewelry and will give you essence for the spikes. You can then sell those materials on the auction house to make even more profit, assuming that the materials are more profitable. Or you could turn them into scrolls of common enchants that sell themselves for higher than the raw materials were on the auction house. So that's always another option and a really great way of compounding on other professions that you may have on your character or on an alt. That aspect is something we call an extended shuffle, or even a true shuffle. So those are always options as well. Zephyrite don't have a crafted option for them. It used to be that Zephyrite were kind of write-offs, unless you can manage to sell them well on the days that the Zephyrite are required for the quest, or occasionally you can sell them in stacks of 20 to people who are power leveling their jewel crafting. They tend to not sell very well. So it used to be what we called a cut and vendor. You could cut these and then just vendor them for 9 gold each. Blizzard got wise to that, and in the last patch, they decreased the value from 9 gold each to 75 silver. So now, if your zephyrite are what we call a write-off, or something that you don't even worry about the profit on, then just vendor the zephyrite straight. And whether or not it's better for you to vendor the zephyrite or try to put them on the auction house in stacks of 20 or put them on in stacks of 3 on the quest day is entirely dependent on how patient you are and what your competition looks like.